Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss how the various mouthpieces of the far right seem to be having a little bit of a scrap with each other as they all attempt to avoid criminal liability for their role in the riots, with Andrew Tate complaining of racist abuse, Tommy Robinson saying that Farage has thrown him under the bus. Seems there may be honour amongst thieves, but not necessarily racist grifters. So it was a bit of a mixed bag yesterday, wasn't it? The awesome positivity of what was supposed to be the biggest display of violence yet being completely beaten by a combination of the police, criminal justice system, with the news of the prison sentences, and a massive community show of force in several towns and cities around the country. But those behind the attacks, whether directly or inciting hate in the media, are still at large. They're still pushing their rhetoric, even today, after the country showed them the real silent majority. They're still pushing their hate. But all is not well in the land of the gammon. It seems that Tommy Robinson and Nigel Farage have had a bit of a falling out. Now, I'm not sure they really have much to do with one another on a personal basis, but they have an awful lot of supporters in common. What I'm interested in is whether people like Farage, Robinson and others are fearing that maybe they've bitten off more than they can chew this time. Or do they, like legally, do they still feel they're safe from the reach of the law and are concerned only with the optics for their supporters? Because it's natural to just think, oh, they're a bit afraid that maybe the police will come knocking. Maybe, maybe not. It's worth noting a recent poll in YouGov has shown this week that Farage's reputation has taken a knock over the first week of the riots. In fact, he has now got a net negative approval rating amongst Leave voters, where it was positive until recently. So a big old drop in support for Farage amongst Leave voters there. And really it crashed amongst Conservative voters. So don't assume Farage is necessarily afraid of a police investigation. It may be that he's confident he's not going to go to prison. Sadly, I don't have confidence. His recent change of tune may just be down to a fear that he's losing the crowd. Or should that be the mob? But on the flip side, he doesn't seem to have lost much support amongst Reform UK voters. But if he's eyeing up growth of support on the right wing for maybe a takeover of the Conservative Party, this poll is still bad news for him. It still tells him he's misjudged the mood. Either way, what we've got here is another example of the more people see Farage for who he is, the more they decide he's not really on their side. Remember, he also messed up on his pro-Putin messaging during the election campaign itself. He may come to regret entering Parliament and the extra scrutiny it brings. I mean, yesterday, Lawrence Fox, another one who was pushing the disinformation last week, called for looters to be jailed on Twitter, maybe a sign that he fears criminal reprisals for his role in affairs. Now that people who haven't been inciting the violence and spreading disinformation on social media are starting to be charged. Includes the wife of a Tory councillor who called for people in hotels housing asylum seekers to be burnt to death. She claims she was given false information, I gather. I think she's actually now been convicted, hasn't she? But she's been charged. I'm not sure what information it's possible to give me before I would publicly call for a building full of people to just be burned alive. But the fact of the matter is that people who have incited violence online are starting to go through the court system. Low-hanging fruit at the moment, but maybe we wait with bated breath to see what happens to those who have had the greatest impact. Will it take longer for those people to be arrested because the cases will be more complex? Or will it never happen because actually there is a two-tier justice system in the country, and we sort of know there is in some ways. It's rigged in favour of right-wing thugs, though, not against them, including those in the media. Our justice system is facing a test right now, quite a stern test. If it fails, the government must address those failures for the future. But in amongst all the repositioning of certain figures, there was a very public row blowing up a couple of days ago. Nigel Farage posted a video which he presented as his way of stopping the riots. Funnily enough, he didn't suggest a massive police operation, quick sentencing of racist rioters and anti-racism advocates turning up on the streets in such force as to show the real character of the country, even though this all seemed to work. But anyway, never mind. After posting the video, which has been viewed a few million times now, Tommy Robinson took umbrage and claimed Farage had thrown him under the bus. He copied in a video he'd posted himself a few hours before Farage, which has way more views, although I don't know how many views for either were real people as opposed to Russian bots, never mind. Both of them trying to dodge responsibility for the violence that they both very publicly incited. in the case of Robinson, even organised. I've really no idea how he thinks he's going to dodge legal responsibility when he was tweeting out lists of targets with very specific dates and times. And then those very same targets were attacked at those dates and times. In the aftermath, Farage drew a lot of fire from Tommy Robinson's supporters for what he said in his video about him throwing him under the bus. So I had to watch it to find out what the beef was. I had to listen to Nigel Farage talk for 9 minutes. I think I've recovered. But he began by saying it was wrong to attack hotels containing migrants. Now, first of all, straight off the bat, I thought, hello, migrants. He's referring to them as migrants for this video, not illegal immigrants. Have his lawyers told him he's potentially sailing a bit too close to the wind here, changing the use of entire terms in order to produce this video? He goes on to say he's like against any form of street violence. Oh no, we can't have this. It's very naughty, you know. Then, not even a minute into the video, there it is, he describes Tommy Robinson types, uses the term Tommy Robinsons, and people like him, as being the ones who actually stir up the trouble and the hatred. So it's like, no, it's not Nigel Farage. No, not me. I'm all about peaceful political processes. Of course he is. But importantly, Farage is not simply dodging responsibility himself. He's dumping it on others, specifically named others. Tommy Robinson specifically. Interesting to wonder why that would be. See, he could have made the points he was making. You know, if he would just want to make the point, no, it wasn't me stirring up racial hatred and criminality, it was others. He could have just left it at that, couldn't he? I wonder why he had to specifically name him, knowing that it was going to cause a ruckus. I wonder why he invited an inevitable fight when they both share common supporters. Farage then said he'd had nothing to do with these people, which may well be true in direct terms, that he is the one who got rid of the BNP, he says. Doesn't mention that he achieved this by making a more effective form of it under his leadership of UKIP. I mean, for someone who says he's against the BNP, his own party's manifesto contains actual flagship BNP policies. He then attacked those accusing him of orchestrating the riots. Being clear, I don't think anyone said he's orchestrated the riots. We know he almost certainly didn't organise any of them. What he did was push the disinformation about immigration over a great many years, as well as very recently, and the role of government policy on public services, which gave those who did orchestrate the riots the ready supply of gullible fools to act as their brown shirts. Nigel Farage was effectively their recruiting sergeant. He went on, and it wasn't long before he carried on pushing lies about immigration, obviously feeling he'd done his bit on explicitly attacking the violence. Right, I've said the violence is bad. I've said attacking migrants is bad. I didn't use the term illegal immigration or illegal migrants, and that's good. I've denied responsibility. I've dumped responsibility to someone else. Right, now to use the rest of the video to push the disinformation which fueled the riots in the first place. I'm wondering if the script was written with a lawyer in attendance. Like I say, the big thing which stuck out for me was referring to migrants when he's much more used to referring to them as illegal immigrants. Because migrants not politically loaded, really. Unless I missed it. It was very hairy. I had to listen to him for 9 minutes. I mean, you know, I don't think he slipped one in. Imagine being told that Nigel Farage spent 9 minutes talking about immigration and, you know, immigration-related violence and never once used the term illegal immigrant. The messages were all the same. He was still saying the same thing, spreading the same lies, just not in the same ways. What I don't know, as I say, is whether Farage made this video with a very interesting omission of basically his favourite term because he's fearful of legal consequences or just because he feels he's losing a bit of support. For all of his insistence that he speaks for the majority, not Starmer, polling this week showed that the vast majority of Reform voters are against the riots. Most of them obviously share his views on immigration. There are few other reasons to vote for Reform UK, although there are a few. But they do not think that violence is the way to represent these views. It's possible that this is why Farage made the video, but it will be one of those two reasons, or a combination of both. There's no other innocent reason. If you say, oh no, Nigel Farage was just appalled at the violence. He was just appalled at the violence and felt he had to say something. Well, he would have posted a video immediately after the violence, wouldn't he? After the attack in Southport, not leaving it a week. Or maybe the following day when it spread to other areas. No, Farage posted his video a full 7 days after the first riot. 7 days. Riot in Southport, no condemnation of violence. Riot spread to other cities, no condemnation. Massive riots at the weekend, including attempts to literally burn alive hotel workers and asylum seekers in Rotherham and Tamworth. The condemnation came 2 days after those attempts at mass murder and 7 days after the first outbreak of violence. This is not the action of someone who was shocked by the violence and wanted to condemn it. You would do that way more quickly. This is the action of someone who thinks, hang on a minute, I don't know what's going on here. Oh, I'm losing support. I'm messing up here. Right, I need a bit of damage limitation. But what damage does he think he's risked? Legal or reputational? But there we are. Those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for further content and click the like button. You can also sign up for memberships if you'd like to support the channel further. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.